Hello, hello, ladies. Welcome, Bopia. Hello, Bopia, a co-host, and Yuri, our honorary guest. Hello, welcome.
Hello. Thank you.
Okay, say hello to each other and get to know each other before we start the announcement of going live. Please help
I
yourself.
guess I guess we already did.
Okay, good.
We're
That's
not live,
good.
yet, but we are live.
Yes,
Mhm.
we are live at this moment, and we're waiting for our other co-host to join us when
Okay.
she is ready. So let's go ahead, ladies, and you already get to know each other before a few minutes ago. So let's go ahead and get started. I will begin our podcast as of now. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. It's time. 8:02. Here we go live every Friday at 8:02 Eastern Standard Time. The Mindful Matter podcast. Follow, join, and watch us where you can learn how and why to be the following: successful, healthier, create generational wealth, plant money trees, and above all, how and why it is important to be happier with the people around you. Please welcome our 11th honorary guest, Yuri Choi. She is an entrepreneur, CEO of Yuri Choi's Coaching. She is also the author of Creating Your Own Happiness. She's a speaker, YouTuber, and 10-time best selling co-author of other collaboration book series. Yuri is also the advisor and destinate mindset coach for Psycho to Go, the largest YouTube channel and online magazine in the world for mental health. She is amazing woman with life problem solver, genuine love for improving humanity and the management leadership community through helping them understand and leverage their emotional state, mindset, and find a deeper fulfillment and peace. Her ultimate mission is to inspire millions to live with more laughter, oneness, and ease with the world of infinite creative possibilities. She is intelligent, gifted, motivator, and mentor. Again, here is our honorary guest, Yuri Choi, and our co-host, Bopir So and Sapon Hall. She will be joining us shortly. Yeah. I hope
Thank
you
you.
like that one.
Yeah,
So,
thank you so much for that introduction and having me here. Really
yes,
appreciate
yes. Who's that girl I just described? Is that
it.
Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and prep you, Yuri. We're
Okay.
gonna tell you our sixth topic, and then we're gonna go ahead and give you a screenshot of everything, and then we just take one topic at a time. You are going to have 60 minutes. You're gonna have 45 minutes to answer the sixth topic, and then our co-host would have 15 minutes. And the first one we like to do is talk to you about yourself, introduction about yourself. And then number two, we're gonna dive deep into your vision and your businesses. And then number three, we will share your strategy on your personal and business success, challenges, and obstacle. And then number four, we will share your experience how to be and stay healthier mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. And save the finance for last because that would lead into our number five. Share your methodology on why and how to build generational wealth and plan your money tree. And above all, how and why it is important to be happier with the people around you and how to have a strong inner relationship. Okay, I forgot to click the button again. In a second relationship, so you can read it. So, all right, let's go ahead and go back to number one. The stage is yours. Let's talk about you.
Cool. Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. It's an honor to meet you guys across the world right now, and I'm so glad we can make the time work. Yeah. So a little bit about myself. I know we chatted a little bit before I hopped on here, but I was born in Korea. And I immigrated to the US. So, and I've been, all over the US. Like I'm living in California and Colorado, but currently I'm in Bali, Indonesia. So just for anyone who's wondering why it's so dark out here, it is about 8:20 p.m. here. But yeah, a little bit about myself. I'm a performance coach for high achievers and entrepreneurs, and I'm really just passionate about helping people move from a state of burnout and feeling stressed out, and moving into an emotional and energetic state where they get to live in flow, where they get to live in fulfillment and be confident and be happy and all the things, and be abundant, and really just fall in love with their life, because I think we have this societal standard framework, I should say, where we have kind of falsely defined success in certain ways that doesn't necessarily lead to happiness. And, for me, it's a rather a personal mission. So for me, when I was young, someone very close to me, she almost passed away from, depression and suicide. She survived, thankfully. But, even at a young age, for me, I really started questioning, like, why do people do what they do? What motivates people? What keeps them happy? What keeps them so unhappy to the point that they would take their own life? The very gift that we have. So it really just ignited my deeper curiosity around humans, human emotions. So I've been really passionate about positive psychology for decades now. So that's something that I've been passionate about. And then, meanwhile, just a couple years ago, actually, my dad passed away from cancer. So when he passed away after 2.5 years of suffering from cancer, it also got me thinking about, and after a lot of research, it really just goes back to the same thing. It's all about taking care of our emotional, physical, spiritual, mental health. And without that, it can lead to lots of different diseases, both physical and mental. So my mission is to really eliminate suffering, unnecessary suffering. I think there's, some component of suffering that is going to be just natural for any human existence. But I think there's definitely unnecessary suffering that people create and live through that's just simply doesn't really serve. I mean, it serves a purpose in the end, but it could be preventative. So I'm really passionate about helping people, strategize so that they can move out of certain habits that's actually keeping them stuck, keeping them depressed, keeping them unhappy, and really seeing that there could be a world of possibilities that they can tap into at any time, just with a switch of how they get to think, how they get to manage and direct their thoughts and emotional states. So that's what I'm really passionate about. I've also written this book called Creating Your Own Happiness. It's a book that is the closest thing I've ever had to like a baby, I guess. It was like a whole birthing process, except it took me 3 years to birth this baby. And, I started writing this book last time I was in Bali 4 years ago for a business mastermind. And it's kind of special to be back here with the book. So it's nice to be have that manifestation here. Other than that, so that's really just who I am. I love writing. I know there's a bunch of like AI stuff out there, but I love writing. I do write my own stuff. And I'm a YouTuber, and I also work with To Go, which is actually one of my clients, which is the largest mental health YouTube channel and online magazine in the world, with 10.6 million subscribers from all over the world. So that really aligns with me, and I'm very grateful to be a part of that mission, because for me, as you can imagine, mental health and mental health advocacy and eliminating stigma around that is really, really an important mission for me. So I get to really practice that mission with them. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And I just love my life every day. Of course, no one's perfect, but most of my days I wake up and I'm literally in tears like once a day, just being like, I can't believe I created this life, because I've had challenges in my life that have been very difficult. And I remember praying for just like an ordinary day, not even like a good, happy day where I'm in the jungle and doing what I love and holding my book that I wrote. Like that wasn't even a part of my plan when I was deep in, some of my challenges. And so I'm just really grateful to live a life where I get to experience a lot of gratitude every day. But yeah, that's overall who I am. And when I'm not working, I'm doing a ton of yoga. I'm working out and all the things I love to do. So yeah, it's a little bit about me. Thanks for asking.
thank you so much. I love your background, your life journey. I read your bio. I'm very impressed with what you've been through. So let's just kind of move back track a little bit. Can you tell me a little bit deeper of your life experience in the USA, and also tell us a little bit about where you're staying right now, and just give us the outlook of your experience, on both USA soil as well as Indonesian soil, and why did you decide to settle in the jungle?
Yeah, right. Well, on the woo-woo side, I think I might have been Balinese in my last life because I don't know why, but I just feel so connected here. But I do have my other logical reasons as well. But yeah, so I moved to the States when I was 11 years old. At the time, my mom got remarried to my stepdad, whom I call dad, and yeah, so I moved to Denver, Colorado, not knowing a word of English, actually. I mean, maybe I knew like 5 to 10 words, but not much. Not
I'm
enough to be,
hungry. I'm thirsty.
yeah, where's the bathroom? Simple things. So it was actually quite challenging, to be honest. I came to the US, and 11 is a very fragile age to begin with. I don't know if you remember being 11, but it's not an easy age to be dropped off in a foreign country where you barely speak the language and you're culturally completely inept. So yeah, it was definitely a challenge. And I actually remember the part of the story. I think, yeah, this is in my book. Um, I remember I was in school and I walked into the bathroom and these two girls walked into the bathroom and so I opened this like bathroom stall. It was gross. It was just disgusting, just like not clean. And I closed the door and I was like, oh, that's gross. These two girls walk in. These are native English speakers at the school. They open the door and they do the same thing, like, oh, gross, except what they say is, oh, it was probably one of the retarded ESL kids. And I don't know if you know what ESL is, but ESL is English as second language. I was an ESL student and I was at a point where I can understand what they're saying, but I couldn't like really speak or communicate. So I heard that. I was so upset. I'm 11 and I was actually doing pretty well back in, and all of a sudden I'm deaf, I'm mute, I can't really speak the language. So yeah, that really just upset me.
Wow.
And yeah, but this is one of the things I teach my clients, which is that anger is a powerful emotion. It's, anger and optimism or willingness both be super powerful and taking inspired actions, right? So I took massive inspired actions at the age of 11. That first summer in America, I read 30 books in 30 days in a language I didn't know. I mean, granted, it wasn't like a super big book. It was like those books that a lot of teenagers read, but I was determined to learn English. So I learned English, and the following summer, the following fall, I go to my teacher and I said, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to move out of ESL. I don't ever want to be an ESL again. And she's like, nobody leaves ESL after one summer, like chill kind of thing. And I was like, do anything, please test me, anything. I like prepared for this. So they, test me. And of course I test out of ESL that following fall. And so, and by eighth grade, I was in advanced English, and then I was in like AP English. That was like a big little, ego boost for me. But yeah, so I share that because I think these moments really defined a lot of not only my character, but it's interesting too, because back then, even though I'm proud of the fact that I took massive action, it came from a place of anger and resentment, right? And I think a lot of us do this, and still survival zone, as you guys have talked about with some of your previous, guests. I've watched some of your shows, and it's been great. And I remember one of them was talking about this, but it's still coming from that survival zone. So, and recognizing that just in the last couple of years, right? Because it really led me to be overachieving. I graduated top of my class in college, and I did 2 degrees in 4 years, but I was also partying every night, like 6 nights out of 7, and just really unhealthy habits. And looking back, and I think it was me not addressing some of the trauma that I've had from almost losing somebody close to me, and moving through these challenges, never really talked about my emotions. And I don't know if you guys know about Asian families, we're not very good sometimes at being emotionally open and intimate, right? So yeah, and I really just overachieved to numb myself out emotionally. Recognize this, in the last couple of years, like my patterns. But anyway, long story short, yeah, so that's kind of like my history of living in that. And for me, one of the big activating moments was when my dad, passed away. And that was a moment I realized, like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I keep doing things because I'm trying to prove something, or because I'm numbing out my feelings. But during that time, 2.5 years, like I had a lot of conversations with my dad about what life is, what death is, what dying is, what living is. And I start to get really clear that I wasn't aligned in a lot of ways. So yeah, that was kind of like a moment I really start to look at what I wanted to do with my life in a conscious way. And I knew I always wanted to help people. I always wanted to write books. So yeah, that's kind of like where my real journey began, like about 5 years ago. So yeah, I hope that answered your question. I know
That
I've been
was
before.
that was inspiring. And the reason I keep smiling, because you chose the peaceful way to get out of that ESL, and I was in the same class at 12 years old, 12 and a half years old. You know what I
Well,
did differently? You know what I did differently?
Oh,
I
what you do?
talked too much, and they kicked me out.
Oh, well, whatever works, right? That was from
Exactly. I took the different way. Was talk too much to everybody, and then the teacher said, "You don't need. You talk so much. You know a lot of things. You don't need us anymore." So you kick
well,
out.
sometimes you're not like fit to be in ESL, but they keep you there anyway because they have grants. They have funding to. They need you. They need the
yeah,
number. They don't really care whether you're expert in anything. That requirement needs to change. But anyways, for me, uh,
that makes
it's kind of funny. It's like, okay, you need funding. Okay, keep the student there then.
yeah, and yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense now that I'm an adult, but I had no idea. I was 11.
Yeah, it's like you need
So
funding. Okay.
so I think your life experience with your two girls experience, I think that it's also a motivation factor for you,
Hmm.
and that would kind of experience that elevate your motivation and inspire you to become who you are today. I mean, that's I don't, it's good for you, in a way, but I would never, let other Asian female or male to go through an experiment, that kind of experiment with, somebody think lowly of you or think you did something that you didn't do.
Yeah. Well, you did a really I don't maybe positive ways of working yourself really hard, but other Asian I've seen, they wouldn't do that. They would like um um
Act
let's say
out in
instead
anger,
of
maybe
act in
physical.
anger,
Yeah.
and also won't work hard, won't go and study, read 30 books like you did. They would just don't care, even though they're hurt, but they would take another route. Like let's say, oh, they would use drugs to
Yeah,
replace the anger. Yeah, instead of reading 30 books like you.
yeah,
So
yeah.
mhm,
And I mean, granted, I did sort of act out, I partied
yeah.
quite a bit in college, let's be honest.
Oh,
But
Mhm.
I will say, and I think this is what's fascinating about human emotions and motivation, because it honestly wasn't because I was like a good person or good student. It was because my motivator was so strong, because I was such a social person. And when that was blocked for me, I was like, I need to prove that I can make friends. I want to be popular, right? When you're 11, 12, that's like what's really important to you, especially as a social person as was. So I think it's interesting, because I think if I think truth is all kind of subjective at times. If you ask my mom, she wouldn't say I worked very hard in my middle school or high school even. I did okay, but maybe it's because my parents were Asian. But I did
yes,
okay, but
yes. They
um,
they
yeah,
expect too much and lead to a lot of disappointment. And I can share that with you. I get beat up for getting B.
yeah,
If
yeah,
it's not
yeah,
a perfect score, then it's not good enough.
right,
If I'm
right.
not
So
in the lead, if I'm not winning award, I'm not good enough. So yes,
yeah,
I completely can relate to you. I think it
right.
works for all Asian kids. They have to go through all those hardship of, hey, you got to be the best, a doctor, A
Yeah.
lawyer. Right.
Going off a little bit, but since we're kind of talking about like Asian cultures, I think it
Yes.
is sort of relevant, which is I'm so happy about this movie that just won a bunch of awards, like everywhere,
I
anywhere, all.
know.
I saw that movie, but I think it's cool because it really highlighted the Asian culture very well. And, I think a lot of us, especially Asians, we could resonate with that. And anyway, so hopefully those
I
kind of things in
I
the media will help.
Yeah, I don't see it not just Asian, but other race too. They really
Yeah.
kind of control their children. They want their children to be, educated, to be doctors, like their way is not the children's way. I think that's a problem. It's really not, Asian or American or, African, Latinos. It's more like just a parent and parenting. They just want to dominate, control their kids. That's the main problem that I see.
Yeah.
So not really just Asian. I wouldn't, my
Well,
my
families.
father did not control me like that. He's like, hey, he would love me to be educated, but it's really up to me. When I chose to uh, join the Navy, it was really, he's kind of proud because this is more like a son thing, not a daughter.
That is
But
really cool.
but yeah, so no, he wasn't really that type of controlling,
Yeah.
his daughter. It's like, hey, it's your choice, your life.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, he was. I guess he was stricter to my older sisters, but not to
I
me.
can hear the
So that's
baby.
why I think I have right now I have a better life. I have more freedom, and I have more of a leadership, I guess, role because
Mm-hmm.
of him not being controlling too much. Too, I
Yeah.
guess. Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's amazing that you're in the Navy, though. I mean, not
I
that.
no,
I
Yeah,
know.
not that long. I asked to be discharged.
that's okay. And that takes commitment.
Well, just to get out the house, you can't
Yeah.
because I didn't have anyone to marry. Our culture, it's like when we get out the house, we have to either go to college, join the Navy, or get married.
Oh, so
So,
you're like, I have to get out of the house. That's
yeah.
hilarious.
Before we dive deep into your businesses, I'd like to hear a little bit more about your businesses with the
Sure.
Yuri Choi coaching. Before we head to that, just give me about clip of 30 second to 60 second of your experience in Indonesia, in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of the jungle. Right
Yeah.
now, it's about 8:38 p.m. in Indonesia.
Yeah, thank you for asking and thank you for being curious about my lifestyle because it is unique, it is different. If you would have asked me 10 years ago, where do you see yourself living? I don't think I would have said Indonesia just because I didn't really know that much. But I just absolutely fell in love with Bali last time I was here, which was about 4 years ago. During that time, I was here for like a business mastermind. So it was kind of like a planned trip and there's a lot of workshops and stuff. But my interaction, even though it was kind of short lived, having, talked to some of the Balinese people, and I fell in love with like the idea of like, or the concept, I should say, of Hinduism. It's really beautiful. They have hundreds of gods. I'm like, oh, I
Mhm.
grew up.
Pick one.
I'm like, what do you mean? You should pick
I
which
love Krishna and Vishnu. Yeah, my God is Krishna because he's so handsome. I guess he was bigger to my older
Yeah,
sister.
so it's like MySpace, like you can pick your like top 6 gods or whatever. But anyway, so I loved it. Yeah, and I mean, and this time around, last time I was here, actually, a lot of people come to Bali for like healing reasons, and last time I was absolutely healing. And while we're all healing at all times, last time it was like a year after my dad passed away. I was deep in my grieving. It was definitely a place I connected on that level where it was a lot of healing spiritually and so on. But this time around, I'm appreciating in a whole different way. And yeah, like I feel like yeah, I get to appreciate all those things that exist, but in a completely different way. I feel more infused with my lifestyle here, and I feel like I'm at a place where I can start to optimize. Like I've been eating super healthy, and I know we're going to talk about some of that today, but yeah. So anyway, I love it here. There's a jungle, rice fields. At night, you can hear the frogs and all the insects and stuff. And what else? I ride motorbike, which is super weird and scary sometimes.
Wow. Sweet.
Yes.
Beep, beep, beep. Beep,
Yeah.
beep, beep, beep.
Yeah.
So anyway, from a business perspective, we have any lands that we can purchase and make a
Actually,
healing?
yeah, it's actually foreigners cannot technically buy any land unless you have a partnership with a local Indonesia.
Absolutely. We'll
Yeah.
become partner with them.
Yeah,
That's what we do, collaborate and
5-year land
partnership
lease.
with everybody. Yeah.
There's a lot of villas being built here. I'm in a beautiful villa here. I'm actually moving out of this villa. I've been hopping around every month, so at a new place, and it's really good for me, I think, because I do have ADHD and I get kind of bored easily. So I like hop into different places. It like kind of freshens up my perspective, and even as a creative, like as a writer, it really helps me think creatively, and I love having different background for my content. So yeah, I have fun with it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I would love to
Yeah,
learn a bit more about your businesses,
sure.
especially the coaching, the YouTubing, anything that you're doing right now to generate wealth, the type of business that you're doing, and as well as the love and just for the sake of love as well. Sometimes we create business just for the sake of love, right? So let's just go ahead and tell us a little bit about your business, and then if you want to dive deeper into your vision and your business, then that'll be wonderful as well.
Sure. Yeah. So my main business right now is coaching. So I've been building Yuri Choi coaching for the last 5 years, and I do yeah with kinds of entrepreneurs and high achievers. So I have three kinds of subsectors of that. So one are kind of what people typically think of like quote unquote life coach, although I have an interesting relationship with that word, but we can dive into that in a little bit. So these are people who are typically going through some kind of transition. So whether it's divorce, business changes, or career change, or becoming an entrepreneur from a corporate job. So these are people going through some kind of physical external changes, or something is shifting internally and they don't exactly know how to navigate through that. So I love helping those kind of people. My second type of people, these are people that I mostly work with. These are successful entrepreneurs, high achievers, but they feel like something's missing and they don't know what it is. And they have all the things that everybody told them would make them happy, but they're not happy. So what is that missing piece? So that's kind of like my second sector. And third are people who are already physically, externally, and internally pretty abundant. They understand this whole concept of abundant mindset, and now they want to dive deeper into kind of their spirituality and their relationship force, or universe, God, whatever you want to call it, or one of the hundreds of gods. So those are kind of the three different kinds of people. But in the end, it's people who know that and have evidence of being successful in some areas of their life, but they feel stuck in other areas and they can't really figure out why. I help them through that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you definitely, I could tap into your services because I definitely fit all three of them.
Yeah, and that's okay if you're all three of them.
And
But
then, and how does the one get involved? How does one find you? And tell us a little bit about if somebody's interested, how they find you, and what are the average fee? Like, do we have to commit a year-long commitment, or we're going to go session by session? Tell a little bit about that, so that just in case somebody watching us right now or later, they wanted to know a little bit more about that.
Sure. So, for me, typically I start with, well, I'll kind of walk you through the process. So if you were to, for example, find me on this podcast and you're curious about how you want to work with me, what we would do is we would have like a 15 to 30-minute quick conversation, and just make sure that we have synergy as two humans, nothing more, nothing less, and just make sure that we can see ourselves potentially working together. And then I set up a 60-minute call, which is a clarity call, where we go deep dive into what's really going on. And I bring three intentions for that call. So one is to really get that roadmap of what's going on, how we can potentially work together, what are some areas we would focus on. 2 is to see if they're a good fit for what I do, and 3 is to see if they like me as a coach. So they have a full experience of that during that call. And then, if we feel that there is kind of that alignment and synergy, then we engage for at least 3 months. And I've had clients who continue for years, depending on, what their challenges are. It really just depends as far as the length and all that goes, because I've had clients who are living very specific challenges that they're moving through. Hey, I just got out of a divorce. I feel lost. I just want to get back into like feeling like myself. So it's a very specific kind of challenge. And so then we work intensely together for 3 months. And that ranges from, a couple $1,000s and on. And we go deep. And sometimes people are good. After that, they're like, thank you so much. This was life-changing. This is going to help me in other areas. And I'm complete. And then we're good. And then I have some clients who are like, you know what? I see this to be valuable. So for example, the Psych2Go CEO, who I've been working with for the last 4 years, and I actually finally get to meet him in person. We've been working together like on Zoom for the last couple of years, and we finally happened to align in Seoul a couple months ago. So I got to see him in person, which was very special. So I have clients like that who I've been working with a couple of years. I've actually worked with his leadership team as well. And then I have clients in between, and I've also had different kinds of coaching programs, or group programs rather. So yeah, the cost of that is obviously a little bit less than, one-on-one private coaching. So I kind of listen to what's going on in the world and what people need, and, create different workshops or programs around that. But it's all obviously a similar thing: identity transformation or confidence, communication. So kind of similar route, but I love creating like different kinds of workshops around that kind of stuff, because I want to treat my business as an art. Like I don't want this to feel like work. I want this to be fun. I want this to be creative. So I try to incorporate that. And of course, we have moments where we just have to do the things like taxes and stuff. But, for the most part, when I actually do what I do, which is coaching and helping people, I genuinely love it, enjoy it, and I try to make it fun and, enjoyable. So, yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's very helpful. And now I have to get you connected with one of our life coach or executive coaching, Cynthia. She's an amazing person that you should definitely have to meet. And I think she charged about 25,000 or minimum.
Yeah, but I actually watched her interview that you sent me. I watched the whole thing, and I think that's
wonderful.
amazing. I would love to connect with her. And I know she does have a team, so like the team that supports her, like coach different, groups and organizations. So yeah, I think that's wonderful. I think my model right now is a little bit different, but I'm always willing to learn and see what's out there. Definitely.
Yeah, our goal is to get you guys, inspirational leader like you and the rest of us, to be a member of UBAMI and change the world together, because I can't change the world by myself. So having Bopia, having you, and having multiple, all those honorary guests that you saw on the photo, those are people that have impact, have a great impact on the world, and they have the power to change the world. And if we all come together, if there's 50,000 of us come together, we can change the world. So I'm hoping to get you connected with her and her with other. So that's my ultimate goal, is to get you guys connected. Connection is important. And then share the wealth, share our knowledge together, so that we can be bigger and better than ourselves. That's
amazing.
Yeah, that's what UBAMI is all about, bring us all together. And hopefully we can go to Dubai, we can go to Indonesia, and maybe 1,000 of us can be touring and looking for opportunity, what we could do to change the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you so much. And I know you showed me your book. Can you show me that book to our audience, what you do?
Yeah, I will. But this one,
and how much it costs to get one of those, and how do I order those?
It's $23.99. I forgot. It's $23.99. It's on Amazon. So if you go to creatingyourownhappiness.com, it'll link you directly to the Amazon link where you can buy the ebook or the actual book.
Can I Venmo you and you send one to me?
You
have
could,
ability to accept Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, and then I can just Vimo you those, and then you can just
I
send it one to me?
could make it work, but it's as of now, I think the best thing is to actually directly order from Amazon because
From
I don't have
Amazon. Yeah.
a bunch of books with me, which I'm gonna get
Yeah.
back next time I'm coming back from America, which I'll visit this year. So yeah,
Good, good. I
email.
can share the link with me, and I share the link with the share link with the video as well.
Sure, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any question, Pierre, regarding her businesses and what she just? Wait, I think somebody
Oh,
just
that was
say
me.
something. Yeah.
I just sent you the link.
Oh,
That's
okay.
Okay, so all right, so okay, all right, so yeah. If you have any question at this moment, Pierre.
Um, gee, the Cambodians, they're so traumatizing. And then they kind of shut themselves out. They don't want to share their mental or emotional feelings because they think that's weakness. So I don't know how to use it toward the Cambodians, which it's more like my focus on is to change Cambodia, so make a difference there. Um, but I think it would be nice if we could use like what you're coaching, yoga, and other things to go. I think it would be helpful. But I don't know how they change from right now. The new generation, they change on their own without using any coaching at all. So I don't know if something you might want to consider because they're just in like in turmoil emotionally and mentally. So
yeah, yeah. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, and I can't even imagine. And I feel surprised that this is the first time I'm really learning about all the things that you've shared, Christopher. Before this call. So yeah, it's interesting to really start to know that, and I can only imagine the trauma that is built into that. Um, I'm just sharing this just as a tool to relate. My grandparents went through a generation where Korea was invaded and all that, and um, I love my grandparents, and I can definitely sense. I don't think this is any secret. Most of our grandparents are like this. They come from more of a scarcity mindset. Um, and I think not addressing some of this, and of course I can't for sure say there's no true evidence around this, but my dad also, he was kind of older, the one who had cancer, who got cancer and passed away. He also went through that period, when he was a baby. And I wouldn't be surprised if that somehow manifested into his certain habits that he had or certain mindsets that he had. Um, so I think it's so important to address that because you just never know how that shows up, and the long-term effects of that. With that said, I think some practical things that I could share either here and or later in a separate way or more intentional way. I think one of the most available things, and I love the era that we live in right now because everything's so available. I mean, if you really just wanted to learn something or you have the mission to do something, like, it's all there. And I think this is why I fell in love with YouTube, because um anything, you can learn anything. So with that said, maybe your community, what you can potentially encourage is just even consistent meditation. They found research, or found that even 8 weeks of consistent meditation where people meditate for 10 to 20 minutes a day, it changes the size of the amygdala, which is the part that's actually responsible for your brain to experience stress. And stress meaning any kind of stress related feelings and emotions like fear, like anger, resentment, all of that. So what that means is it literally reduces the capacity for people to experience less stress. Also through meditation, you can start to retrain your body so that you can actually feel, like, remember even what that feels like to be relaxed again. Recently I had like a mini fall on my bike. My bike had a malfunction. But anyway, even that little thing, and I'm fine. I didn't break any bones. I had some scratches and some wounds, but other than that, I'm fine. But because I'm so aware of this work, I noticed that I went into fight or flight mode. My body did. Like logically, I knew I was fine, but I could sense that my body kind of like went into this like contracted state. So for the last 2 weeks, I've been very intentional about getting additional massages, going to more yin yoga, which is like more of a slower, relaxed intentional yoga. Not, well, they're all intentional, but like slower, actually relaxing yoga. And I've been just doing a lot of things to help my body remember what it feels like to relax and be in that abundant place. Because we talk about abundant mindset, but our physiological state is also important, because if our body's like literally scared, no matter how you're like trying to think yourself out of it, you can't really, so I share that because with the things that people went through that's been so physical or visual, or it's just so real with all their sensory input, I can only imagine like how much they contracted and don't even know, and start living from that traumatized state where they start to think that's the normal, that's the new foundation of how they get to live. And then they wonder why they have all this pent up anger, why they start drinking heavily, right? And we saw that happen with Vietnam War and all the veterans there. Like, it manifested into a lot of alcoholism, violence, and things like that. So, yeah, I think right now is a crucial time because there's a lot of research that is available, that people can really start to pay attention to that particular community. And also so much like literally free amazing meditations on YouTube that anyone can access. I have some on my YouTube, but not even mine. There's just like literally millions, like people can access, and just pick one even and just do it consistently, just even for 5 minutes. And I think it would be helpful to really start to like calm the nervous system down for these people so that they can start to operate from a different state, if that makes sense. That's one thing I would probably
Absolutely.
recommend. Yeah. And I'm so sorry that community went through that. Like I can't even imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, we will overcome. We will rise and conquer once again. So I have no doubt that's part of my feeling, my destiny. And thank you so much for your love and support and recognition. It's a healing process. It's we lost 100 years of knowledge, and it's going to take all of 17 million of us to rebuild something that we used to have. So that's my goal, is to get everybody connected. So thank you. We have about 15 to 20 minutes left of
Yeah.
our podcast, and we have about 4 more topic to go.
I
So
do
let's
go.
go ahead, and we're gonna. It's okay. I love it, and if we have to go over time a little bit, we're fine with
Sure.
that. But let's go ahead and summarize everything into maybe 3 to 5 minutes long for every other topic, and then we just summarization of what's important, critical point of view you wanted to share with us, our audience, where they can learn from us. So number 3, let's go ahead and share a summary of what your strategy on your personal and business successes and challenges and obstacle. Just summarize within the next 2 to 3 or 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah. I'll try to keep it short and concise for these. On my personal life, I just choose to feel good. I do everything I can to feel good every day, because obviously that's what I preach when I teach, but also I know that it's the key to our happiness. And it's so simple, right? It sounds so simple. Like, of course, like feel good, but how many times do we, at least for me in the past, I've committed to being angry at somebody, or being committed to being offended, being committed to not feel good when recognizing. But how often do people actually commit to feeling good throughout their day, and like doing whatever that it takes to feel that? And so for me, I'm very in tune with how I feel each day. And if I'm like, what? Like, I'm feeling today like there's something on my heart, then I take myself to yoga. Then I'm like, I feel a little bit energetically blocked apart. meditate until I cry. Like, it's not just like a one step or cookie cutter process, but just really listening to my body and like almost like being a parent to myself. Like, what do you need? What do you need right now? What do you need today to feel good? Like, how can I support you in feeling good? So on my personal side, I think that's good because, when we feel good, everyone can feel it. I mean, people, talk about energy, vibe, and even though people don't know about energy and vibe, right? On the on that level. And so it's a thing. It's a thing. And I think that really comes from people genuinely feeling good first. And as simple as that sounds, I think that's one of the most important things on my personal side. On my business side, what's been most important? I practice my communication a lot. I practiced it very, very much in the last 5 years. I I uh, I I know for a fact that our language is so deeply tied into our conscious and subconscious thoughts. So when I don't know how to change my subconscious thoughts, I change my language patterns. And that leads me to the thought pattern that I want to have. And I think that's been really powerful. Uh, Communication breakdown, I think, is the cause of any breakdown, personal or business, but especially in business, it can be. For me, my communication skills has been really helpful in my business success. Challenges. And one more thing on my business. I think this is something I shift when I was working corporate versus being an entrepreneur. Is this willingness to go first and give first? And I know that you do this too. You don't have to be here for an hour and a half listening to me talk or giving me the opportunity to speak about my passion and my book, but you're doing this as service. And we all know that, I don't even want to call it karma, but I think there's this law of giving and receiving, and it's not going to come from the place that you always give. I think that's one thing people confuse. It's like, well, I gave it to this person. Why am I not getting this back? Well, the universe is much bigger than this one person. It's like I give knowing that it's going to come back. There's such faith in that. So when I from that space, nothing feels like resentful in business. Everything feels flowy, and I get to be of service in a genuine way. Some challenges, obstacles. I did write this down. I think, I think Cynthia talked about this, and I agree with her. I don't think people immediately always know the benefit of hiring a coach because it is such a new concept for some.
Yes.
Especially already in a scarcity mindset, and that's the challenge. They're like, well, why should
most
I
people
spend money?
think they can help themselves and solve their own problem, but that's not the case at all. You need help. You need somebody to really listen to you and coach and give you good advice and good coaching. I completely agree with you and Cynthia. So
Yeah. So that's, I think, challenge. I think sometimes programs 3 months. I think the obstacle or the challenge that I see sometimes is, for whatever reason, and I try my best to communicate the expectations and the duration of this, but there's always outliers. But people who don't fully trust the process or themselves to go through the process, and then they're like 1 month in or 1 week in it, even they're like, why isn't this working? I'm like, well, it's like going to the gym. You're not going to get a six-pack after a month or even a week. You have to keep going and believe that it's going to work and continue to work hard at it. And some of my clients see massive results in their first month, and some see it in their third month. Just really depends on what they put in and how much they're willing to commit to the process. So I think that's one challenge I've seen happen, where people are like, well, it's not working. Well, it hasn't been time yet, So
3 months is pretty fast. Normally it's 6 months.
yeah. I'm
To see the result.
fun. Yeah. And honestly, I try to get them in and out as fast as possible. If they can get it done in a month, great.
Express service. You're really good.
Yeah, I mean, like people like Tony Robbins, like one session, and people are like,
Me?
and how much they're paying for? $5,000, right? For a 30-minute?
yeah. With Tony, I think it's like a lot more than that now. I don't know.
10,000 just for his one session, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, thank you so much. And you were touching base on the obstacle a little bit. So you got about 30 seconds on the obstacle, and then we move on to more positive on a mental and the wealth of your
Yeah.
mentally healthier, how to stay healthier and mentally, physically, and emotionally. So let's give it another 30 seconds on your challenges and obstacle on a business perspective.
Yeah, and I think that's really it. I think people not understanding fully the benefit of a coach, or not understanding that a coach is different from a therapist. And I actually encourage all my clients to have a therapist too if they want. And I make it very clear I'm not the therapist. I'm not going to be the person, unless they really want to dive into our childhood. Of course, like, it's a part of who they are and where their beliefs came from. So we'll touch on it. And I do have some powerful exercises to help them move, heal their inner child. But, I think therapist is powerful, or therapy is powerful, and it could go hand in hand and really complement each other. Coaching is a little bit more focused on really, future pacing, and shifting their own identity and self-image, so they can really achieve the goals and shift their mindsets, shift their core beliefs about who they are on a deeper level, so that they can keep that forever. So, yeah. Thank you for asking.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead, and you're going to have about 2 to 3 minutes, or 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how long you want to take. So it's
Yeah.
actually 2 to 5 minutes. Share your experience, how to be and stay healthier mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and save financially for last, because that will lead to our next one.
Yeah. So for me, it comes down to daily habits and discipline. I think discipline is the most important thing when it comes to self-love. I think self-love is discipline, and discipline is self-love, because it's in the daily habits that's going to really shift us. On a daily basis, God, on a daily basis, I meditate. On a daily basis, I guess I don't do yoga every day. I'll do one or the other, or both, but I do some kind of movement every day. And so, and on a daily basis, I learn something new. So these are things that I do on a daily basis. And some days you won't feel like you're changing anything. I went to the gym today. I don't know if anything changed, but I look at some of my videos and some of my old pictures from even a year or two ago, and I genuinely continue to look younger. And because I'm doing more things for myself, and so the progress shown in those kind of way. Other than that, I mean, yeah, as I think just really making those self-care things a priority, and making it on a practical level. Literally, when I plan my week, the first thing I do is put in all my yoga and gym times in my calendar before anything else, before any meetings, thing like that's like a non-negotiable for me. Of course, there's going to be some some time where I can not physically work out for whatever reason, but on a very rare occasion. Other than that, it's a daily thing for me, and it has been for decades.
Well, I kind of agree with you on the manifest side of thing. Like, when we were younger, we try to be older. When we're older, we try to be younger. So
Yeah.
the universe actually listened to us. So we're actually manifesting it, right? Because when we were 16, we couldn't wait to be 18. When we're 18, we can't wait to drink and party, right? So what we do, and then we party so much that we look old. We look out of shape. And then when we realize, oh my gosh, now you're too old. And it's like, I want to be young again. So what do? You change.
True.
It's all in the mindset, right?
Now I'm in the 50s. I want to be 21 again.
Right.
Yeah. That's so interesting. I've never thought about it that way, but that's so true. We were manifesting getting older, and then now we're getting younger.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's our mindset. It's amazing how the universe works itself out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you do, from a physical perspective, to maintain that wealth of your physically? What do you do? How do you tap in spiritually, or even emotionally?
Sure. Yeah, it's all connected.
Yep.
to explain this, I'm going to go a little bit into like the spiritual and the emotional aspect. So as I was talking about earlier about self-awareness around how I feel in my body, it's been really like the center point of how I get to navigate through the days and the weeks. So for example, to answer your question on a surface level, I lift weights and I do
Wow.
some cardio and I do yoga, but it really depends on like what energy I'm tuning into. So I believe and I know that in our bodies, and this has nothing to do with gender, has nothing to do with sexual orientation or anything like that, but on an energetic level, there's a masculine and feminine energy. So masculine is kind of like the active, building, very focused and stuff like that. And then feminine is when you're very tapped into your emotions and flowy and creative. So I tune into like what energy I need to focus on a little bit more each day. So on a week like this week has been rather crazy. I knew that what's going to support me the best is to be focused and productive and like be in kind of like my masculine energy. So what did I do? I did a lot of weight training. I was more rigid with it and so on. And then towards the end of the week, though, I started to feel kind of like blah, like I was in such a like a routine, and like, oh my gosh, it's time for yoga because I need to balance that energy out with my feminine energy. So I go to a yoga class last night, and I literally started crying, and I wasn't even sad. It's just that there was like energy that was like stuck in my body, and after I released that, I felt so light, and I felt so creative, felt so open to new ideas. So then it was balanced again for me. So that's kind of how I navigate through my workouts. I know that's like not a very, it's more of like an thing rather than like a strict system per se. But it's really been good for me because I think if I do one, and if I feel super blocked in my feminine, I'll like literally dance. I'll do some weird stretches, like, do things to really tap into my body. And so it just really depends on like the energy I'm honing into. I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Um, have
Absolutely.
you, you're there. So in Bali, have you seen their dances and
Mhm.
their performance arts? It's so interesting.
It is.
Have you tried 'em?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
it is. And they also have like a lot of like masculine and feminine like
mhm.
built into their dances and stuff too.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I didn't know that. Mhm.
I think you should. I think you should tap into Cambodia. Cambodia, vacation spot in Thailand, and those are beautiful places you can go tap in. It's almost like Bali as well. So I would
I
recommend if you have the. What's that?
I would love to. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we gotta check it out for you, and maybe we can tap into a couple of connection in Cambodia or Thailand, and maybe we can
Just
find you
just
a
go
good
to
place.
Siem Reap, Angkor Wat, the ancient temple, and you'll see yourself more there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
interesting place. Yeah.
That's why Angela
Yeah.
Jolie is in love with Cambodia. She loved what the culture was all about and the people. And you think Bali people was nice? Just
Yeah.
wait until you meet Thai and Cambodian.
I,
They're
I,
really
I went
extremely
straight
nice.
I went straight to the Queen to see the Queen um I guess carving on the relief. I knew because I read history about it, and then asked the guy person to take me directly there. It's
Oh
really
wow,
interesting.
that is
Yeah.
really
So yeah, thank you, Bopia. Go ahead and tap into the last one, which is finance. How
yeah.
do you take care of yourself and the finance situation from your business as well as personal? And then we're gonna dive deep into a little bit deeper into how can you help other audience and myself and whoever's involved or listen to us. How do you build your generational wealth? How do you plan your money tree? How do you get to be on vacation so often? How do you get to travel so much? I mean, what is it about it that what can I do to be that in that position, to be so happy again, to be happy who I am? So let's touch base a little bit about your finance, and then we're gonna lead into the how to generate how to build generational wealth and plant money tree.
Yeah, yeah, I'll kind of combine the two
Hmm.
questions because I think it's one and
Yep.
the same. But
Yep.
first of all, I think clarity is important. Even from like day one of my business, I hired a bookkeeper who helped me stay like very clear about what's going on, because not only is it easy to just like kind of let it slip, but also like it held me accountable to like review it every month or every other week or whatever we would meet. So that was one of the most important things for me, because if you're clear, that solves like 80% of any upcoming potential challenges. So you can really proactively do things about it and around it. And then also like, planning ahead with him. And then for me, I think I actually always, not always, but for the most part, I had pretty good relationship with money. But I actually dove pretty deep into my relationship with money and money mindset in the last couple of years. And there's definitely been opportunities of growth and where I can heal some of my money trauma or money stories. That's been really helpful. So, one of the things that, and this is something that Ken Honda talks about, he wrote a book called Happy Money, I think. Anyway, he talks about, and he did this whole system called like arigato money. So, what, for example, one thing that you can do on a practical level to heal your money relationship is, first of all, treating money like a person, like meaning you get to like be appreciative, you get to be respectful, you get to like invite it in and like make it fun for it to come. And it's like laws of attraction of any sort, right? Whether it's money, people, opportunities, like if you are genuinely feeling good, and that also includes all the inner work that you get to do, letting go of all the whatever you hold on to, all that good stuff, so you're in like a high vibration, then you attract all the good things. But also money specifically like a person, and like really treating it with love. So for example, the concept of arigato money is all about not only obviously most of us say thank you when we receive money, although that's not always the case for some people who have really traumatized relationship with money. But when we receive money, we're like usually thankful. That's more common. But are we thankful when we get to spend money too? Like, you spend this for allowing me to pay for my, so I can have light in my running or whatever it is, and like being thankful for all the things that it does and how it impacts your life. And also seeing money fire here, but cool. It's interesting because I've been paying a lot of attention. Oh, can you hear me okay? I've been paying a lot of,
you lost about 5 seconds.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like for example, like what do you think about when you hear millionaires, billionaires, rich people? Like what comes up? I've noticed that some people have this like intrinsic hatred towards people who are rich, and they don't even know why. It's like, well, if you don't love people who have money, you're probably not gonna be one of them, because you
right.
subconsciously rejecting that identity.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's fact.
Yeah. So I think developing a healthy money mindset has been really important for me. And that's something that I also teach on to my clients and anyone who would listen, I guess.
Well, Kubera, the god of money, the fat Buddha,
Yeah.
where Chinese they would put in their shop. That's from India, so they really worship that god, god of money, god of wealth. So they're doing good. China is rich. They worship the right god.
Once again, manifesting, right? Manifesting.
Yeah.
And
Just
it's listening.
Love his come and ask for money.
So tell us about how do you build your generational wealth? From your own personal experience, how did you build your generational wealth? How did you plan your money tree? Just maybe within 30 seconds.
Yeah, so what I've been focusing on is creating more passive income streams this year. That's been kind of like my goal. So obviously my book is one, income stream, but, things that still align with what I'm doing and who I am and my mission. So YouTube, it's not monetized yet, but my goal is to monetize it this year. And I think it'll be so fun just to be able to create content and also get paid by YouTube, but also something I can do anywhere in the world. So it still aligns with my lifestyle and what I get to do. And yeah, and I'm constantly kind of opening up my realm of possibilities. Like, what else could be fun and aligned, and I could do that. And other than that, on kind of a spiritual level, I think for me, it's just really leaving my legacy behind through and having that reach people and having that help people so that they can really access their abundant mindset as much as possible. I'm undecided if I want to have kids, so I don't know if like the generational wealth thing is like literal for me, but I think for me it's like leaving the next generation to a more open mind and so on, or more abundant mindset.
Thank you for sharing that. I know sometimes when we talk about finance, it's a little hot subject matter to discuss, but thank you for sharing that, because our goal is to be open up to people and how if we can help people. So, and then when I said plan your money tree, that mean like almost like a guarantee investment. Do you do any recommendation with investment, anything like that? Oh, we lost it, didn't we? So hopefully she kicked herself out and logged back in. So we only got about another. No,
Okay,
you
now
were
we can
locked
hear
for
you.
about 15 seconds. Did you hear my question?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's something that was us, looking into doing a little bit more actively. I think I've been more of a high
Let your money work
reward.
for you. That's what plan your money tree is. It's about let the
Yeah,
money work for you.
Uh-huh.
Grow
Yeah.
grow
Yeah.
your money on your money tree, and that's what it's about. So
yeah, yeah. So that's something that I'm looking at. Things I will focus on is essentially, buying homes so that I can. I don't think I did a lot of things in a traditional manner. So yeah.
you got lost for about 5 seconds. Can you
Okay.
replay?
No.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I think your internet is getting
go to
lost
sleep.
weakness. Yeah.
Going to sleep. Yeah, it's tired.
We only have about 5-6 minutes left, and then we'll finish it up. Okay.
Yeah, I'm kidding. Okay.
Uh-oh. We're having a delay of internet again. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was just saying, I don't know what you heard, but yeah, so for me, those are things I'm looking to do. And yeah, and I've also been more of like a high risk, high reward kind of investment. So I've played around with different things that are more technologically a little bit probably riskier than a normal investment, but I'm also open to their as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So let's go ahead and go to the next one. That would be helpful. And like I said, we can talk a little bit more about how to plan your money tree, how to let the money work for you. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But right now we got about about 6 minutes left, and then let's go ahead and focus on most important things. Above all, this is the most important one: is how and why it is important to be happier with the people around you, and how to have a strong inner circle relationship. I think that's part of your success story, is having the right people that really genuinely care about you, want you to be successful. And when you're successful, not talking about it, they're really happy for you. Like
Yeah.
people give you the wrong perception about when you'd be successful, but as soon as you become successful, they're not really happy.
Mhm.
So let's
Uh,
touch base on that. So I think you're freezing up again.
yeah, sorry. Can you hear me?
That's okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe the internet's getting tired.
Yeah.
So
I could be happier.
can you do me a favor? Can you kick yourself out and come and request to join again? Let's see if that would solve the issue. There you go. Did we lose her? There you go. She's coming back.
Okay.
All right, let's start again. Is that
Can
better?
you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's perfect.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Why is it important to be happier with people around you?
Yes.
Because I think energy is contagious. Yeah, energy is contagious, and I think we have a choice every single day to either be the light and just bring more light into the world or not. It happens sometimes in micro moments. It happens on a bigger scale sometimes, and just like I was saying, my number one priority every day is to feel good and happy, um, or just feel authentic about my emotions, so that, yeah. So yeah, I think we are all just like energy transfers, and if we get to be happy, it impacts people around you, and I think it really only can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're breaking up here and there, but I can put it all together. But I don't know if our audience would able to do that. But you're fine. You're doing fine, and then we're getting to the end, and we're finishing the 26 mile, and then it's very helpful. So go ahead, just continue saying what you're saying, and then go ahead. I'm sorry.
Inner circle of okay. So how to have a strong inner circle of relationships? Well, I think at the end of the day, I think we have to learn who we are and be real about who we are, and not be afraid of speaking up about things that matters to our heart, and be weird, even if that, even if being authentic means being weird and being out there and being out of the little box that people try to put each other in. I think that's the only way that people can really see you, and the right people will be attracted to you. Because, if you're wearing a mask, that mask is going to attract the people that are drawn to that mask, but not like the real you underneath. So I think that, to have a strong connection, you just get to be more open, vulnerable, and just be who you really are, even if that means, you're a little out there.
So be authentic. You're saying be yourself. What make you happy?
Mm.
And so, people that are supposed to be in your life, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, and then we get to let the people that are supposed to be in your life just be attracted to your energy, just the way that you are, and people can come find you in your authentic self, rather than all the layers of masks that we sometimes wear in social situations.
Mm.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right,
Interesting.
we have three extra 3 minutes left to close our podcast. And Pierre, you have any conclusion to say to Yuri? Yuri, you have any question for me or question for Pierre before we close out our podcast? Before we can show you some appreciation and thank you.
No, I just really appreciate you guys holding this interview and asking me some amazing questions and making me think deeper. And it's just really special to be here and accommodating my nighttimeness and all the things. So, and the jungle sound. So I just really appreciate you guys, and thank
Mm,
you.
Thank
mm.
you. It was an honor to
Thank
have
you.
you. We'll love hearing from you, and I'm going to invite you to come back to do a one-on-one focus to give us an update of what really just talk about your business and how do we can help you promote and recruit your next client as well. So that's something that we're going to do a one-on-one focus as well. You'll be invited back soon. So, but Pierre, go ahead and conclude that, and before we close the
Yeah,
podcast.
well, very interesting. I love your
Amazing.
lifestyle. I mean, it's wow. That's something I would love to do, but I'm pretty much tied down here. Yeah, such a fun like work you're doing. It's interesting. Yeah, and thank you
Thank you.
for sharing your life with us.
So
Thank you.
that would conclude our 9:02 with an extra time, overtime, extended for Yuri, especially for Yuri, once again. But the subject was so good that we don't have a choice but to extend it. But it was good. I love it. It was very useful, and hopefully that our audience listening to us for many years to come, they would sum it all up for all the honorary guests to share, and then take whatever they could from you, from Cynthia, from Molly, from and all of our episode honorary guests. You know, it's just it's amazing story from all different walk of life, from different country, from different location, from different time zone, from different life experiences, sharing those 6 topics, you know, and talking about, you know, success, nutrition, wealth, you know, building money tree, and being happy, be genuine, be yourself. I think this is an amazing experience. So, and I want to say I highly appreciate that you take the time to share your story with us, share your vision, share your success, and thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Yuri, and you have a pleasant night.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you guys. Have a good
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Okay.